Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to the first night of finals of the 2019 Canadian Swimming Trials. Joining me here on deck tonight, Canadian Olympian Brittany McLean, who will be taking care of our webcast here tonight at the Canadian Trials and for the next few days. Brittany, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be back on the pool deck and to watch some awesome swimming this weekend.
It's been great so far. We had some fantastic races already here this morning. A world record for Shelby Newkirk of the Saskatoon Lasers in the S7 100 backstroke. She'll be competing in our first event here tonight.
Yeah, and I think it's such a great opportunity. A lot of those para swimmers have swam here for the Para Pan Am Games in 2015. This is a pool they're familiar with. I'm sure very excited to come in here and give it their best tonight. I think it'll be great to have the crowd behind them. I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, it was a fantastic way to start off this morning. And also in that 100 backstroke, Kylie Moss, 58.19 this morning, less than 2/10 off the current world record.
Absolutely. I've been told I have a little bias on this one,
but I'm very, very excited for this race. So proud of all that Kylie's accomplished, both in the sport and out of the water. And I mean, what could be more exciting than watching someone challenge world record tonight? And I mean, we started off by, like you mentioned, we already saw one this morning, so it's just going to continue to get better and better, and I can't wait to see this place erupt.
You know, Kylie's time this morning, it actually ranked number 7th all-time for the top performances in the world. So she also has 5 of the top 10 all-time in the 100 backstroke, and looking to add to that here tonight.
Absolutely, and it's so cool to see the sport of swimming in Canada growing so much, and it starts with Kylie, but it goes so much deeper than that, and to put 5 of the top 10 times ever with the Canadian flag on her cap is so incredible, and exactly why this crowd should be extra excited to watch her race.
You know, on top of those events tonight, we have the 200 breaststroke, we're going to have the 50 butterfly, and we finish it off with one of your favorite events, the distance events with the women's 1500 foot and men's 800.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything to sleep on in this session. I think the 200 breast, both on the men's and women's side, it's a lot of people up for grabs, and there's a lot of experience and a lot of youth, and I think that's going to make it that much more impactful and exciting, and we love to watch, a little bit of the changing of the torch here at a meet like this, and there's always going to be new names up and coming that you least expect. So that's, I think, what I'm most excited for, and I definitely think ending off with the distance races will hopefully keep everyone as excited as they started the night, and then we'll move on to a great session tomorrow.
Yeah, and the reason that we're all here is the Canadian Swimming Trials, obviously, and we're picking 6 teams here this week. Not only the FINA World Championship team that will compete this summer in Korea, we have the Para World Swimming Championships, we have the Pan Am Games, the Para Pan Am Games, the FISU World University Games, and the World Junior Championships. So there's a lot of teams being selected here this week.
Yeah, the fact that we could have over 100 athletes representing Canada at the end of this summer is amazing. And, everyone gets their new experiences, some old, some new, but we're gearing up for an Olympic year. So this is everyone's time to shine, get some experience on the international stage, and no matter what team it is, there's going to be valuable lessons learned, and I think it's really great preparation as we head into next season.
Yeah, and all those teams are going to be announced on the final night of competition here on Sunday night. Through, we'll know about the World Championships that are taking place in Korea, because there is a qualifying time. There's some selection standards you have to finish in the top 2 and under those standards. So we'll have an idea, but the official teams won't be announced until Sunday night at the end of the session. We hope that you can all come back and join us for that final day.
Yeah, and those standards are represented on the world stage. So to see, we had 5 girls under the FINA A standard in the 100 backstroke this morning. So 5 girls that could potentially receive a spot to go to Worlds this summer. So I think that competitive depth, yes, we're talking about the world record, but we're also talking about the 4 ladies following and potentially the other 10 in the heat. So I just think that part and seeing the sport grow is so, so important. And I'm really excited, like you said, to see these great athletes named to the team on Sunday night.
Yeah, and with the selection, a maximum of 2 athletes per event can be qualified for an individual race at the World Championships. We'll see in our relay events as we go through the 100 and 200 freestyle, the top 4 will qualify to swim those relays this summer. At this time, though, coaches and athletes, we're going to ask you to please clear the competition pool as warm-ups are over, and we're going to get back to the racing action in just a few minutes. Brittany, thank you for joining us here on deck on day 1.
Thank you for having me. Good luck tonight, everybody.
And in other sports news, Canadian Olympic swimming sensation Hillary Caldwell is retiring from competition.
Hello?
Hi, Hillary, it's Derek.
Oh, hey, Derek.
I hear you're retiring. Well, listen, before you do, remember when you came out to the farm, I was coaching you for a while? Well, I'm coming out to the pool, and you're going to coach me.
Awesome. Come on over. I could get used to this. Perfect. Is it like on and off, or are we just...
Yeah, I think you got to switch up here. Off, and then all the way on. Like, but what we can also use is these here, right? And so this is set, I guess, to be balanced and all good. But if you don't want to go flicking back and forth, you can just draw it down and then put it back up.
Okay.
Whatever your preference is.
I'm mic 1, you're mic 2?
Yeah. And I'll probably use this rather than flicking this on and
Yeah.
off.
Are we on now?
I think they're still running because they still have opening ceremonies, they still have
Okay.
everything else. So. let's get going, you and I, as soon as the anthem is done, and then
Ladies and gentlemen, we're down here on deck with Shelby Newkirk of the Saskatoon Lasers. A world record this morning in the S7 100 backstroke. A great performance. Just a little off that time tonight, but got to be pretty excited with that time this morning.
Yeah, I am for sure. It was a really good race and really happy with it.
Did you have that in your target coming in here to try and break that world record this morning?
A little bit. Like, I always want to better my times, and I know that every time I get PB in my event, it'll be a record now. So it was definitely one of my goals, but I'm very happy to have achieved it.
Well, that's pretty special. Whenever you get a personal best time, it's a world record. Congratulations, Shelby Newkirk, on her swim this morning in the 100 backstroke. Congratulations, Shelby, and we'll look forward to seeing more of you throughout the next few days here at the Canadian Swimming Trials.
So we're here with the winner of the 100-meter backstroke for para-swimmers, Nicolas Guy Turbide. Nicolas Guy Turbide, ici même, il y a 4 ans, tu avais gagné 6 médailles au Parapanam. 4 ans plus tard, on se retrouve ici, au 100 mètres d'eau, dans la même piscine. Comment tu te ressens?
Cette piscine-là, ici, ça a tout le temps été un peu mon coup de cœur des installations au Canada. J'ai tout le temps eu des bonnes performances en nageant dans le bassin, donc essayer de continuer la tendance cette semaine.
Parfait, c'est une très belle nage de 59,93. Est-ce que tu voulais faire en bas d'une minute aujourd'hui, c'est ça?
Oui, c'est ça. Je voulais pas voir de 1 avant le résultat final, donc j'attendais juste à l'arrivée du mur, juste être assez attentif pour pouvoir voir au tableau, mais bien écouter le temps, puis content du résultat.
C'est parfait. Félicitations, Nicolas Guy.
Just get some volume there. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, your top two finishers in the 100 backstroke, Kylie Moss and Taylor Ruck, both under the FINA A standard. And we'll find out officially on Sunday, but a pretty safe bet you're both on the team for the Worlds this summer. Congratulations. Kylie, first with you, a win here tonight, the fourth fastest performance ever in the 100 backstroke at 58.16. Great start to your summer season.
Yeah, thanks. It definitely felt good to get back to 58 low, so I'm really happy with that, and I'm looking forward to the summer.
You were 58.19 this morning. Did that feel easy coming in this morning?
It did. It actually felt pretty controlled and easy, so I was a bit faster tonight, which is all I could ask for. So.
You now have 6 of the top 10 performances all time in that event. You've really been dominating this for a number of years. Is that sort of part of your goal this summer, is to go into Worlds and these other events and really take the world by storm?
I think so, yeah. I'm always working to improve my times and continue to keep improving. And the swimming community is always getting faster and faster, so just to keep doing the best I can to be the best that I can be.
Congratulations, Kylie. Second place also on the team. Taylor Ruck, a great swim for you tonight, 58.55. A great swim to come in second and add your name to that roster for the Worlds this summer.
Yeah, I'm just so excited for girls, and oh my God, yeah, this is such a great meet, so seeing lots of familiar faces, and it's really exciting.
Pretty exciting season for you so far with your teammates down south. We're coming up here to Canadian Trials. What else are we going to see you in competing this week, and you must be pretty excited to be back here in Toronto.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Hopeful. Yeah, tomorrow I got the 100 free, so I'm going to focus on that now. Yeah.
Congratulations to Kylie Moss and Taylor Ruck in the 100 backstroke here on day one of the Canadian Swimming Trials. Ladies and gentlemen, on deck with your winner in the men's 100 backstroke here tonight in a new Canadian record time, Marcus Thormeyer. Marcus, the Canadian record had stood since 2009 to Pascal Wallach. Was that one of your goals here this week, was to break that record?
I think the goal was to do the best I can, and if that was to break the record, then yeah.
So you're happy with that time, though, 53:35?
Yeah, I think it's like a half-second best time, so I'll take it.
Half-second best time, you'll take that for sure. Now, how does this set you up for the summer? You're under the standard, you're going to be named to that team hopefully on the Sunday night. How does this set you up going into the World Championships?
I think this is the first step of many that I have to take for this summer and then next trials and next summer and so on.
Anything specific you're looking forward to seeing or doing in Korea?
No.
Swimming fast, hopefully. Marcus Thormeyer, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations on your swim here tonight. New Canadian record in the men's 100 backstroke.
See the height on Thormeyer there. It's just, you can see how much power he has through the water, how much stroke, how strong each stroke is going to be. You can really use that to your advantage in a sport like in a stroke like backstroke. So awesome to see him growing the sport in Canada and then continuing to grow it hopefully through the summer. And as he just mentioned, he's all prepping for next year as well.
Absolutely. I mean, he has gone from 54 low, where he picked up a bronze medal at the Commonwealth Games in this event. Now almost a full second faster, a new Canadian record of 53:35.
It was developed by Canadians, including animal welfare experts, veterinarians, researchers, and people just like you.
It's uniquely Canadian. It's ours. This is my farm. This is my farm.
This is my farm.
This is my farm. This is my farm.
Yes, we were. No, yes, we were talking during the interview. We were talking after, just before we started the commercials. He's got a long reach on him. He is just over world record pace. So here we are. Brittany, it's our next event. It's the women's 200-meter breaststroke. This is going to be our B final.
Absolutely. I think this is what I'm most excited for tonight, which is saying a lot because we just had, world record threats, Canadian record threats. But as we watch this, I think this is potentially one of our greatest races of the evening. As you know, it's nobody's race in the next heat. Now we're watching the B final right now, so I'm kind of prepping for next heat, but there's a lot on the table, and I'll chat about it later, but there's a lot of new names potentially making new events, and a lot of people potentially threatened in the positions they're in. So I love watching, the changing of the torch, but I also think it's just going to be a really exciting, grind it out, get it done race. I'm really looking forward to the next heat, but let's chat about what we're watching right now. You're going to see in the outside, great start there for Sofia Carnevale. She is swimming for Etobicoke out of lane 0, just got scratched into this heat. So for her to take out the lead, she's swimming with statement, and hopefully she can hold on.
Yeah, absolutely. She's going for it in the outside lane. Her top time this morning was a 2:32.44. That was by Langley Olympians Hillary Metcalf. But our race leader right now is Carnevale out of lane 0. She only swam 2:36 this morning, but she is challenging for the lead. As they come to the 100 wall, it's Carnevale out in front and also looking very strong in lane number 6, Katrina Braithwaite from Point Claire. And again, Braithwaite this morning, she was a bit quicker at 2:33. She hits the wall first in a 1:12.35, followed by Carnevale in lane number 0. All of these swimmers looking to be better than their 2:32 this morning. That was the fastest time in our B final by Hillary Metcalf.
So a great opportunity for these ladies to get up and race at a finals, to give them practice to potentially be looking to make the A final next year. And all but one of these girls are Canadian, so they're trying to push the pace of that A final, get in themselves in the mix for the top 8, top 10 positions.
So we're looking for great performances. Still swimming very well, though, at the bottom of the pool. Sophia Carnevale holding on strong, but your leader going to be at the 150-meter bar, Katrina Braithwaite, as you mentioned. She's in lane 6, 150.92. Now, it's important to note the 200 breaststroke is our distance breaststroke race. So this last 50 says a lot about the swimmer. They're really going to see who the true, tough girl is on this final push.
Absolutely. Doesn't get much more painful than the last 50 meters of a 200-meter breaststroke at this level. But Braithwaite, a second and a half better than she was this morning, looks very strong and is holding on in lane number 6. She's got almost a full body length on her nearest competitor. 5 meters left to go for Braithwaite from Point Claire. She's going to win our B final. Look at this, 2:30.62, Katrina Braithwaite. A great swim for Braithwaite, taking nearly 3 seconds off of the time that she did this morning. She was ahead of Emma Spence, swimming in lane number 5. Hillary Metcalf at 2:31. Top 3 swimmers, all better than they did this morning. A trend we're seeing, Brittany, in almost all of our races here tonight.
And this, like I said, what a great practice round for hopefully making themselves into the A final. Next year, we saw lots of smiles as they touched the wall. That's really what we're looking for. It's great to watch. It's great to see them improve. And I'm looking to see them grow and hopefully be talking more about them next season.
Absolutely. And as you were mentioning, we are going to have a barn burner of a race coming here in the women's 200-meter breaststroke. Our top 3 swimmers separated by less than a half second, all trying to get down to that FINA A cut of 2:25.91. It is not a 1 or 2 person race in the 200-meter breaststroke. 3 of them all have been underneath the standard before, and all 3 of them are going to be battling for those 2 world championship spots. And we'll turn our attention now to the awards podium. Medal presentations now in the women's 100-meter backstroke.
And there you have it, our top 3 girls in the country right now. I can remember a day where our best 100 backstroker was, over a minute, way over if that. Now we have 3 girls under that 1 minute barrier. Such a special time for Canadian backstroke, especially we have the top 2 times in the world right now in the 100 backstroke. So that's pretty special. We're from Canada, we're proud to be from Canada, and we're doing things that no other country can do right now.
Absolutely, and at the moment, not only no one in the country, but no one in the world. Kylie Moss, Taylor Ruck, top 2 times in the world. Moss just almost underneath that world record, that Canadian record. 58.10 is the Canadian record. 58.00 by Kathleen Baker from the United States last summer is the world's record. And we'll likely see those 2 going head-to-head this summer in Korea at the World Championships. And possibly even Taylor Ruck stepping into the 100-meter backstroke, depending on what the event schedule is like, representing Canada in the 100-meter backstroke.
And she could be a podium threat when we come down to it at a competition like World Championships, especially with a time like that. Obviously, it's going to be a very close race, but she's put herself on the map, and Kylie has already done so, obviously, in this event. But I think she's probably, as Kathleen Baker, shaking a little in her boots, knowing that, it's April and she's going a time like 58.16. We've got a couple more months of training, a couple more months to fine-tune her details, and I'm really, really looking forward to getting to watch her this summer in Korea.
Well, Ruck and Moss, they did go 1 and 2 at the Commonwealth Games last summer. Ruck then not swimming this event later internationally. So we'll see what she does as she gets ready for Korea. And as you said, the women's 100-meter backstroke in Canada is an absolutely incredibly competitive event right now. As you said, these 3 swimmers under a minute. We've had 4 of them today. When you include Sanchez, who didn't swim the A final, it is a great time to be a backstroker in Canada. All sorts of these girls from across the country pushing each other in this event.
And here they come. Like I said, I'm very excited for this one. What I quickly want to talk about, I'm going to call it our dark horse. For me, that's Sydney Pickram. Right now, she's going to be in the middle of the pool, so you're probably thinking, Brittany, why is she a dark horse? She's in lane 4. That's where our fastest swimmer swims. But her performance this morning dropped way off of performances she's done long course, and this is a race that she hasn't necessarily proved herself in yet on the world stage. But NCAA season just happened. She gave Lily King, the best breaststroker
to Everswim breaststroke, a big run for her money in the 200 breast yards less than 2 weeks ago. She's in top shape. This is an event she's really growing on. And then she's going to go up next against someone like Kira Smith, Kelsey Wog. I mean, Smith, probably our most experienced in the field. She won the Pan Am gold in this pool almost 4 years ago, which is crazy to think now. She's made a World Championship final already. She trains in this pool every day. Probably our favorite going into this race. But then we have someone like Kelsey Wog, who's really pushing boundaries in the sport of in the stroke of breaststroke. She was second at the Short Course World Championships in 2016. She's had her taste of international experience, but not quite as much as Kira. So who's on form today? Who really wants this bad enough? We only have 2 spots to take to Worlds. It's going to be a fun one.
It absolutely is. And as you just said, plenty of international experience between Pickram and Smith. Wog, the newcomer at this level in 200-meter breaststroke. This is going to be a very exciting race. And we talked about a little bit earlier in that backstroke, coming from short course yards to long course meters can be a bit of a challenge, but we didn't see that being too big of a challenge for Ruck earlier in the 100-meter backstroke. Pickram, she went her lifetime best time 1 year ago at this event, coming directly from American NCAA championships to our Canadian championships, going 2:24.4. She's the number 1 seed tonight.
Absolutely, and I think it's important to note, Sydney is now a senior, so she just finished her 4th year at Texas A&M. So she's done this transition multiple times in the past. She's used to it. She's prepared for it. This is kind of what her season looks like. She knows this is what it's going to look like. So I definitely think that that's something that's been on her mind the last couple months. But I can't stress enough, these 3 girls are going to battle to the very finish. Sydney Pickram with a fabulous final 50, so I wouldn't count her out until we come home. Kira Smith, though, always making moves here in that first 100, and we see she will be in our leader. Very close, though, with the 3 ladies. Kelsey Wog looks to be out in front with Kira at the moment.
Absolutely, and these girls were 3/10 apart going into the last 50 meters this morning, all 3 of them in different heats, but you're right, Pickram, when she got down to 2:24, it was with a stellar last 50 meters. She's used to swimming the 4 IM, she's used to swimming the 2 IM, these big endurance events, so if she's anywhere near them, come the last 50 meters, watch out for Pickram in lane 4.
Yeah, that's where she tends to shine. And I think what's so special with Sydney Pickram is she continues to make strides in events that are different, and she doesn't necessarily, we're known her as, like you said, a 400 IMer. We haven't seen her swim this event at a World Championships yet, so really looking forward to potentially seeing that mark. Now, you spoke about it. 2:25.9 is the standard that we're looking for FINA A, but we assume that all 3 ladies are going to be well under that. It is still a very close race right now.
That 9/10 of a second. They are 3 seconds faster than they were this morning. 1:45.0 for Smith in lane number 5. She was 1:48 this morning off of a 2:26. Here we go, and here comes Pickram, just as you said, starting to move up in lane number 4. Wog in lane number 3, slightly ahead. Smith to the left in front. Pickram and Wog right together, and at the wall, it is Smith, 2:21.75, the best time for her. Second goes to Pickram in lane number 4, and third goes to Kelsey Wog in lane number 3.
So all 3 of those times, and we'll figure the calculation out later, but I would assume are some of the best in the world right now. Those are world class.
They are the top 3 times in the world so far this year in the women's 200-meter breaststroke.
That is so awesome, and you see the big smile from Kira Smith. She's been trying to improve off those times of 2:20, 2:23, 2:22 for quite some time, and to see her hit that 2:21 in a pool that has a lot of heart and soul in it for her, she's grinded out hours and hours of practice, let alone her Pan Am gold here. We see a little bit of disappointment right now from Kelsey Wog. She was really hoping to make that team, but we have so many other opportunities for her to get to race internationally, things like Pan Am Games. We also have our University Games coming up, as Kelsey is enrolled right now at the University of Manitoba. So we will see more of Kelsey Wog. That was not the end for her, but our top 2 finishers there, Kira Smith, 2:21.75, Sydney Pickram, 2:22.63, over 3 seconds under what needed to be done in order to qualify that second swimmer. So I'm really excited to see them race out on the world stage and potentially give some foreigners a run for their money.
And as you said, you know, here we are in the top three finishers, the top 3 times in the world, much like the backstroke. Women's swimming is very competitive here in Canada right now across a number of events, and that is making for a very healthy environment, healthy competition between all of these girls. And look at this, Kelsey Wog, the number 1 time in the world, 3rd here, may not get to the World Championships. Well, that is interesting.
Yeah, that's some big news there. I said there was some frowns, but there's going to be a swap of frowns and smiles there. So we've just been announced Kira Smith was disqualified from the women's 200 breaststroke. I would assume something towards either a touch. We see in breaststroke very often if there's a mistimed touch, or something that's always been a little bit of a risk in Kira's stroke. She gets very high in the water, and sometimes her elbow positioning could be a little bit of a threat. So those would be my guesses, but very unofficial at the moment.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
we're waiting here.
Your winner and champion here tonight, Sydney Pickram.
This is Sydney Pickram. She's now your Canadian champion here tonight.
Sydney must be pretty happy to get the qualification standard for the world under your belt on day number 1.
Yeah, for sure. Coming in 200 breaststroke, I've never qualified for Worlds. Last summer was the first time I got to swim it. So I'm really happy that kind of my fun event, my first event, to qualify and get that under my belt. So I can just go into the IMs and do my best and get good times. But I mean, between the 3 of us, I knew it was going to be a tight battle. And to come up with that time at this time of year after I've had a lot of collegiate swimming, I'm really happy with it.
Anything specific you're looking forward to this summer, or is it just going and racing and representing Team Canada?
Yeah, that's always my main motivation. Obviously, traveling is really fun, but to honor it, represent the Maple Leaf is just the best part of my job.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sydney Pickram, your champion here tonight in the 200 breaststroke.
A very interesting turn of events here in the women's 200-meter breaststroke. Gone from one of the most exciting races that we saw to a little bit of confusion around there. We'll see what happens. I'm sure that we're going to get some protests. Question that call.
I saw Ben Titley run across the deck, her coach. So definitely not the end of what we'll hear this story. I'm sure there'll be more, but a big surprise. And you don't really no one likes to watch someone get DQ'd because, you know what, no matter what the detail was, she put up a great swim. And so we know she's potentially one of the best in the world right now, and it's unfortunate that she may or may not get to race this summer. I think what the opportunity that stands is still out there because someone like Kira is also very competitive at the 100-meter event. So I think that'll fuel her fire to be even better as this comes down to the 100 breaststroke later on in the program. I think we have plenty more to see from Kira Smith.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, she's a finalist in Rio in the 100-meter breaststroke. She picked up a silver medal last summer in the Commonwealth Games in the 100-meter breaststroke. She doesn't look like she's going to get through here on the 200, but she still has 100 later on this week in the program. As we get ready now for the next event, which is the men's 200-meter breaststroke. This will be our first heat of our finals tonight. This is the B final in the men's 200-meter breast.
And as we get set here in the middle of the pool, lanes 4 and 5 are both foreign swimmers, so they're looking to get some qualification times out of this race. And the rest, we have a Canadian field.
And the qualifying time pretty quick compared to where we were this morning. 2:11.00. Our top Canadian is swimming in lane number 3, Apollo Hess from the LA Swim Club. Very young though, he's just 16 years old. He was 2:21.53. Top seed in the B final, William Lulek from Pennsylvania State, a time of 2:19.92.
And I talked about this being the distance race of breaststroke, but you'll see so many different race strategies as it comes down. Although it's only 4 laps, so someone would think, well, it's only 4, and some races, are up to 30 laps. This is the longest breaststroke is, and there's so much strength and power required to get them through the water. So watching everyone, some people go out really fast, and we saw Kira really hold it on there, and then there's some who, charge last minute, and that's exactly what Sydney Pickram tends to do. So we see in the middle of the pool right now our leader in lane 5.
That's Adriel Sang from the University of Denver. And, this morning he was only 2:20.23. Let's see where he is here at the 100, 105.70, a little bit quicker than he was this morning. Behind him in lane number 4, that's William Lulek from Pennsylvania State. Sitting in 3rd, it is lane number 3, the Canadian from the LA Swim Club, the young swimmer, Apollo Hess. And Hess this morning, he swam a 2:21.53. Apollo Hess. That was a very solid swim for him. And second time, best time by a full second.
Absolutely, and in saying that, all of our Canadians, so 8 of them in this heat, are 18 or younger. So this is a big growth cycle for them. They're really getting more experience here. They're getting a chance, like I mentioned, to swim in the finals, to swim under the lights, to get potentially an interview after. This is great practice for them to continue to grow and hopefully maybe in an Olympic trial final next summer.
Absolutely, and some of them are going to get to swim up and against some international class swimmers. We saw that in the 100-meter backstroke where Swedish swimmer Johansson qualified underneath that FINA A cut. So some great experience in the B finals for our youngsters. At the close of the 200-meter breaststroke in the B final, it looks like it is lane number 5, Sane from the University of Denver, in for a win in a time of 2:19.64. Second going to lane 4, Lulick. And third in the B final, that's lane number 6, Patrick Hussey from Point Claire.
Patrick Hussey, just under the time he posted this morning, so we're looking for improvement, and that's exactly what we got there. A little unfortunate, William Lulick had his goggles off that whole race, and it's hard to watch, but he still came up with a great performance coming in second in that heat. And breaking that 2:20 barrier, Adriel Sands, 2:19.64, our winner of the B final men's 200 breaststroke.
And this morning we saw some great swimming in the men's 200-meter breaststroke where James Dergashoff, he went 5 seconds underneath his entry time. He hasn't swum this one down at around his best time in a while. He was 2:12 this morning, 2:12.57. They've got to get down to 2:11.00. And we'll see Eli Wall beside him from the Toronto Swim Club. He's been down to 2:11.4. Should be another great breaststroke race coming up very soon here in the men's 200-meter breaststroke.
Yeah, we're going to head our way to the podium right now. These are our men's 100 backstroke. See the taller one in the middle. That's Marcus Thormeyer, a new Canadian record holder representing UBC. But first, we get ready for our bronze medalist, Rob Hill. He was their silver medalist at the University Championships in February. So 55.32, a big improvement for him off of 56.27 that he did just a month ago. So great swim there for Robert Hill, and he potentially put himself in a position to qualify for a team this summer.
Absolutely. He's got the World Student Games. He's got the Pan American Games. Silver medal is going to go to Cole Pratt, just missing that World Championship standard of 54.0. 54.6, though, a Canadian national age group mark.
And he'll get some international experience this summer, one way or another, and it'll be even more special, maybe potentially put a stamp on the junior scene and do some things worldwide that we haven't done in a while.
And there's big Marcus Thormeyer, a new Canadian record that we saw, 53.35. A great swim for Thormeyer. He'll be competing in this event at the World Championships. He's also competing in a number of other swims, 100-meter freestyle, underneath the FINA A-cut there, and the 200-meter backstroke, where he just touched on that Canadian record very close at the U Sport Championships.
Yeah, we definitely haven't seen the end of this week of Marcus Thormeyer. He is very, very strong in the freestyle races, the 200 backstroke. He can dabble all over the place, so I'm looking forward to getting to watch him, knowing he's in great form as the week goes on.
And it's got to give them nothing but confidence going into the next few races to have such great swims on day one. Canadian record by Thormeyer. Kylie Moss right on that world record. Ruck, a lifetime best time, and they've still got more events and better events later on in the program.
And I think the biggest thing in a meet that's 5 full days long, it is a great practice for a world championship style event, but it is so important for your confidence, for your preparation to get a good race out of the bat on that first one. So day one, we're seeing some of the best performances, if not the best, that we've ever seen in Canada. So a great start to the meet, and they're going to continue to grow on that and now be a little bit more relaxed as the weekend goes on.
And here we go, our A finalists now in the 200-meter breaststroke. And as we saw earlier in some of our other finals, senior component to this, as well as a number of good 18 and under swimmers all be competing. James Dergashoff, you'll see him in lane number 4. He was the closest to that FINA A cut, swimming 2:12.57 this morning.
Yeah, we're about to see James pop up right now, and you spoke about, he hasn't gone that personal best in quite some time, so this morning it looked like, where is this guy coming from? And what a performance he put on to put his name back on the map, to send a statement to the rest of the performers. He made our Pan Am team in 2015, and that by doing so, outtouched one of our best breaststrokers we've ever had, Richard Funk, by 2/100ths of a second. So he knows how to race down to the wire. It's going to be exciting there. The other one, of course, Eli Wall. He's been the 200 breaststroker that Canada has seen for the last couple years. He's represented us at Pan Pacs and on the international stage. He's your one to beat. He comes in with the time closest to the FINA A standard. But importantly enough, none of these men have been under that time yet. So we're hoping to see one, maybe even two, break that barrier.
Absolutely. And in the middle of the pool, lanes 4 and 5, Dergashoff and Wall, both swimming in their white caps. 2:12.57 by Dergashoff this morning. He was the closest to that standard in the 200-meter breaststroke of 2:11.00. Looking very strong, though, for the first 35 meters. Look at lane number 3, Connor Isings from Point Claire. He was just 2:16 this morning, looking very long, very relaxed. He's carrying a lot of speed and momentum that first 50 wall.
Speaking of walls, Eli's out strong. Lane 5 there, 30.01, just shy of that, getting that under that 30-second barrier, but a great start there. He looks long and smooth. Also important to note, our outside lanes, so 0 and 1 and 8 and 9 are all in their teens still, so they're going to be vying for spots to potentially represent Canada as well. We're going to have to get behind all 10 of these men.
Absolutely, and look at lane number 5 now take over the lead. Eli Wall, 30.0 on the first 50 this morning. He was 103.7. Wall, 103.30, 0.4 of a second better than he was this morning. Beside him is Isings, and then is Dergashoff. Everybody's a little bit better than they were this morning. Wall with the most experience and the closest to that cut at 2:11.47. He's got to take off just a half second to get down to that standard.
And Eli's really hoping to break that barrier. A win, it might not necessarily be good enough for qualification. He's wanting to get that time to solidify his spot on the team, but we're really seeing him challenged here on that third 50. Dergashoff not backing down.
Dergashoff making up a bit of ground there, now sitting a half second back through the 150-meter mark. They're just a little bit quicker than they were this morning. They're going to need a great last 50 meters if they want to get down to that 2:11.00. Here comes Dergashoff in lane number 4, challenging Wall. Less than 25 meters to go, and Dergashoff from the China Swim Club is really pouring it on here at the finish.
What a race this has become. It looks like right over the black cap of Dergashoff over Wall.
And it is Dergashoff, 2:12.33, 0.2 of a second better than he was this morning. Another lifetime best time for Dergashoff. Wall hitting the wall second at 2:12.80. And then Jaron Lafranc from Kishu Swim Club dropping a little bit over a second to come in third in a time of 2:14.90.
And deja vu in this pool for sure for Dergashoff. He was our winner, I mentioned, at the Pan Am Trials, so that was exactly 4 years ago in this exact pool, the first time we had ever gotten the chance to race at it. So he's definitely familiar in the position, and he's brought on very strong on that last 50. Great swim there for Dergashoff, putting himself back on the map. 2:12.33 will be his time. We'll have to wait later on through the meet to find out if he's going to get a chance to race this summer and where. But a great performance there from China. James Dergashoff, second place. Eli Wall representing Toronto, 2:12.80, and rounding out the podium, Jaron Lafranc, 2:14.90.
Absolutely, and whatever opportunity that they're given this summer, whether it is the Worlds, the Pan Ams, or even the FISU, it's an opportunity to get down, get closer to the standards that they'll need to get onto the Tokyo team next year.
So you would have liked to be a little bit faster here this evening, but you'll take the win, another national championship.
Of course, it feels fantastic, and it's always nice racing Eli. I got so much respect for him, so awesome trials.
You come from behind on that last 50. Is that part of your game plan in that 200 to race from behind for the win, or do you like to be in front?
Patrick and I work on that every single day, and feels so good when it works out.
Seeing to work out here tonight. What else are we going to see you in here this week at the Canadian Swimming Trials?
I got 100 breast, 100 fly, 200 9 on there, still really important.
Still a busy week here for James Derkshop. Congratulations on your win here tonight in the men's 200 breaststroke.
And still more opportunities, Brittany. You heard him, the 200 IM as well as the 100-meter breaststroke, a few other events as well. Opportunities for Derkshop still to get onto that world championship team.
Yeah, and that's the fun part about watching something like the 200 IM, 400 IM. A lot of the breaststrokers really shine when it comes down to the third leg of the race, and so much can change in that last second half of the race. So fun to watch. We'll see a couple of these guys back for the IM. Eli may be one of them as well. So looking forward to getting them another chance at a spot.
Absolutely. And so where we started earlier tonight when we talked about your transition from the junior team to the senior team back in 2011, with this 8 years ago being the first senior team that you made, how difficult of a transition was that for you? We were coming off of a medal from the Junior Pan Pacs the summer before, and then up and competing against the very best senior swimmers in the world at the World Championships.
Yeah, I was lucky enough. My summer 2011, I was able to compete at the Junior World Championships and the Senior Championships. So in that one summer, I got so much not only race experience, but just real life experience, getting to travel the world. One of them was in China, the other one was in Peru. So it was a huge transition for me, but at the same time, it made it really easy. I was around familiar faces. I had some great friends in the team, but I had also met so many new people, veterans like Ryan Cochran, Julia Wilkinson on our senior team, who really led the team and had been so successful in previous years. Made it a lot easier for me to really ease myself right into that senior team, and I was pretty outgoing at the time, so I didn't shy away from making new friends, but getting to watch some of the best in the world, and that's my best recommendation for anyone on the junior or senior team. If you're not racing, make sure you're taking in the competition, make sure you're watching. You're seeing some, arguably some of the best performances ever to be done. Sometimes you're seeing world records drop, but there's something to learn from every race, and everyone that asked me, what was retirement like? And I was learning up until that very last time I dove in the water, and I'm still learning about the sport. So I think it's so important for them to be present, be aware of what was going on, and continuously learning throughout their career.
Well, absolutely, and you must have learned a huge amount that summer. You finished off the summer with the world's junior record in the 200-meter freestyle at the World Junior Championships. So every experience and opportunity to learn. And let's look at this one with Louise Hansen in lane number 4. She was underneath the FINA cut in the 50-meter butterfly. She was 26.31, the standard 26.34. Canada not selecting swimmers off of these non-Olympic events, but a great swim by Hansen at 25.84 to win the B final of the women's 50-meter butterfly.
Yeah, and that solidifies. I'm sure she's happy with that. We're potentially looking at a finished record, as mentioned. 26.34 was the time she was looking for, so she's half a second under that. Plenty of space, room to grow, but she's had a great night so far here. That's her second race of the evening. That 100 back was a great one, and now we're seeing that 50 fly to add to her resume.
And a great night of racing in the B finals there for Hansen, coming out of the University of Southern California, represents Sweden internationally.
Karen Tam, our top Canadian there, 27.50.
And we're going to get ready for I believe we have some medal presentations before we get underway with our next event. No, we'll be on to our A final in the women's 50-meter butterfly. Alexiak this morning, she put up the top time, but she's not swimming in the A final tonight.
So that race may have been just a chance to get the cobwebs out, and they talk about how important it is to have a great day one of the competition, but I'm sure her and coach had a plan to get up on the blocks today, do something great, and rest her a little bit tonight. She's got a big 100 free tomorrow, so she'll be looking to improve off her performance today and make it even better tomorrow.
And absolutely, a swimmer of Alexiak's ability, she can swim multiple events, not limited to just one or two, using that 50-meter butterfly perhaps as a warm-up for things later on in the program schedule. That time of Louise Hansen's 25.84, number 14 in the world so far. These are your A finalists in the women's 50-meter butterfly. The top time, Haley Black from the Prince George Barracudas. You see her right there. She was 26.77 this morning.
And this is a race that is going to become more and more important, as you know what, we've only seen this usually swam on on non-Olympic years, and this is going to be the first Olympic cycle where this is going to be swum at the Olympic Games. So these swimmers are getting themselves ready for a race that is gaining in world caliber and is going to become more and more important as this comes to play. Really looking forward to seeing who our next Canadian sprint stars are.
So the 50s, they are swum at the World Championships. Canada not selecting swimmers specifically in the 50-meter events, but have a great opportunity here to get some more best times and perhaps some international experience at the Pan Ams or FISU Games. And there we go, lane number 4, Haley Black, Prince George Barracuda. She swims with the UBC Thunderbirds in the High Percent Performance Center in Vancouver. 26.77 this morning. We saw a 25.84 by Louise Hansen in the B final. And looking strong at lane number 6. This is Maggie McNeil out of London Aquatic Club. She came off a great NCAA freshman season. And it looks like it is McNeil in a time of 26.15. Second going to Black in 4. And third going to Sadie Fazekas in lane number 3.
As you mentioned, Maggie McNeil had one of the most textbook NCAA seasons swimming for the University of Michigan. She was a name that a lot of Americans hadn't heard yet until this year, and then all of a sudden she put her stamp on the field. She made a statement at the start of the season in the fall and continued to grow off that. She got lots of hardware a couple of weeks ago at the NCAA Championships, qualifying for a couple finals, swimming on some great relays with her university. So now she's putting her stamp on the Canadian performances. 26.15 out of lane 6, start to finish, our leader. Great swim there for Maggie McNeil. And as you mentioned, Haley Black has made some great strides in the last couple of years. 26.43. We've just got the sign that those were official. So we see our medalists right up on your screen. Sadie Fazekas taking the bronze, 26.91 by 1/100th of a second.
And it's going to be somebody to watch later on. She was the Junior Pan Pacific champion in the 100-meter butterfly. She took nearly a full second off of her lifetime best here in the 50, going from 26.99 down to 26.15. That 100-meter butterfly race should be a very exciting and hotly contested race in the women's 100-meter event.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see, is Alexiak on butterfly form? Is she where she was a couple years ago? You know, we saw a silver medal performance at the Olympic Games in the 100-meter butterfly out of Penny. That, you know, someone like Maggie McNeil has been very on right now, and it would have been fun to watch them both race in that 50, but we'll see it coming down the line in a couple days.
Absolutely. On to the men's race now. This is the first of 2 heats. This is the B final in the men's 50-meter butterfly. And we have a couple foreign swimmers. Luis Martinez in 4, top seed at 23.86. He's in the middle lane, swimming in the white cap. And there are the reaction times for the start as we get underway with this one. Lane number 4, Martinez. He's from Guatemala. And 23.86 this morning for Martinez. Beside him in lane number 5, another foreign swimmer as well, swimming unattached, Milanovic. He was a couple tenths back. Here we go at the wall, 23.81, 5/100ths faster than this morning. That's Martinez in lane number 4 from Guatemala.
And there you have it, 23.81, just shy of that FINA A cut is 23.66. So I'm sure maybe looking for that time, but you know what? Depending on their country's qualifications, that might be what they needed. A great race there, though, in the middle of the pool. 4 and 5 taking the leads, and 6 and 1 will take 3rd and 4th.
And Foto, the top Canadian from Mississauga, finished 3rd in that heat, 25.24 for him. 17/100ths of a second faster than he was this morning. And we'll be moving on to our A final here shortly. And once again, these non-Olympic events are not eligible for selection for the World Championships, but they are events that are swum at the World Championships.
So for races like this, it's really important for some of these swimmers to still achieve, you know, things like lifetime best, put a good time on the wall, because that's the times that are going to be considered. If they do qualify in another event, they'll get an opportunity to just swim something like the 50 when it comes down to it. So as mentioned, no, they will not get them a ticket for the trip, but it will help them along the way and will end up changing the way selection goes. It'll definitely end up, putting them in the position of a spot when it comes to Worlds.
And absolutely, if nothing else, a great warm-up for selection events, the 100-meter butterfly or the 200-meter butterfly that are happening later on in the program here in Toronto. Medal presentations now in the men's 200-meter breaststroke.
And as we spoke about before, we didn't see any times under FINA A, so we're going to have to wait around till Sunday to find out who's going to be qualifying for what. But a great race between the top two qualifiers there, Eli Wall and James Durgashoff. It was a two-man race throughout, and we saw a final push from James that was unlike anything we've seen so far tonight. And as he was interviewed, he really talked about he's been working with his coach on that final 50, and we really saw it pay off.
Absolutely. Bronze medal going to Jaron Lafranc from Kishu. Time of 2:14.90. Wall picking up the silver for Toronto in a 2:12.80. And James Durgashoff from China winning in a lifetime best time, 2:12.33. So plenty of international opportunities still in front of these swimmers. They won't qualify for the Senior World Championships with those swims, but we still have the Pan American Games and the World Student Games. And we'll see on Sunday which of these teams those swimmers are named to as we get ready now for the A final here on the men's 50-meter butterfly.
And this will be our last 50 of the evening. Then we get set for our distance races later tonight. So let's enjoy the one lap while it lasts. Our men's 50-meter butterflyers are walking out here for the A final.
And here we go. William Pisani swimming unattached in lane number 4. Had a great swim this morning. 23.85, the best time by 4 full tenths of a second. FINA A standard. Well, not eligible for selection. Time of 23.66.
Yeah, although they cannot be selected, it would be pretty awesome to see them hit that benchmark when you compare yourself to world rankings. That's a huge leap of improvement. So that would be awesome to see someone get under that barrier. But as mentioned, we're not taking anyone for this, but I also think it's important to note we've seen a great university career out of Josiah Benema. He will be swimming at a lane 5 for UBC. Keep an eye on him for sure.
And Benema, he's been the top Canadian in the 100-meter butterfly for the past couple of years. He swam the 100-meter butterfly at the 2018 Pan Pacific Championships in Tokyo last summer. And using this event, obviously, as a warm-up for the rest of the week. We've also got a youngster in there, just 16 years old, at lane number 3, North York's Joshua Lendo. Here we go, our finalists in the men's 50-meter butterfly.
And this really sets the tone, as a lot of them have plenty of races to do here in Toronto. So it'll be nice to get something off the blocks, a bit of the jitters out, and look forward to the rest of the races.
And a great start off of the blocks. Watch for some fast underwater in the middle of the pool. Pisani in lane number 4, up in the black cap. Beside him in lane number 5 is Benema wearing white for the UBC Thunderbirds. And Pisani looking very strong. Look at this. He's powered at the 25 meters. He's almost a body length up on the field. He was 23.85 this morning. And there he is. Look at this. 23.57 underneath that FINA A cut. And taking the win in the 50-meter butterfly, UB finishing second, 24.24. And Perot in lane number 6, third in the time of 24.34.
So you see him doing that chop. He represents the university, Florida State University, so he's doing the chop over to his teammates. That's their tradition, but great swim there. Will Pisani, 23.57 to beat to get under that FINA A standard puts him, again, in the mix for potential semifinals and finals when it comes to something like World Championships, and it's put him in a good position to potentially qualify when it comes to something like the 100-meter butterfly or maybe even the 50-meter freestyle. So we'll be waiting to watch that later on this evening. I mean, this competition.
And still plenty of teams to be selected. And just as we said, it puts them in very good position for that 100-meter event that is happening later on, because not only can a swimmer be selected in the 100-meter butterfly for going underneath that FINA A Cup, but Canada is also selecting a team member for that 4x100 medley relay.
Yeah, they're definitely putting themselves in contention. That's what this week is all about, putting yourself on the map, doing things you've never done before. And I'm really looking forward to seeing who's going to be the ones to walk out for Team Canada representing this summer.
And this is going to be another interesting event, Brittany. I know this one is one that you have swum a number of times. We've got 3 girls in our final that have been underneath that FINA A standard.
So what I'm most excited about in this 1,500-meter race, and people always say, oh, it's so long, like what is going through their heads, what are they thinking about? Yes, it is really long, but these swimmers have trained plenty of hours and laps and grinded this out to be ready for this. They are more than prepared, and I think what's so special is this is going to be the first year it's created an Olympic event. So in a year from now, this will be in contention for swimmers to qualify for Tokyo. And as you mentioned, the FINA A standard, not as competitive as some of the other FINA A standards we see across the board, and that's mostly because it is just not very well swum. It hasn't been on the world stage very long. Not many swimmers are competing in it, so that creates a huge opening for someone to just take it away and run with it, and that's what I'm most looking forward to, seeing one of our Canadians in the distance field just absolutely pick it up and run with it, and I'm looking forward to seeing them get more race experience. This didn't used to be an option to swim at trials a couple of years ago, so they're continuing to gain race experience, continuing to get off the blocks in a race that's not normally very well known. So really looking forward to seeing who that next Canadian to completely break our barriers and to push the boundaries here in this women's 1,500.
And here we go, the final now, the women's 1,500-meter freestyle. And those 3 swimmers that we're talking about that have been underneath that FINA A standard already this year in lanes 3, 4, and 5. Sanderson swimming unattached in lane number 3. She'll be at the bottom of the screen towards the yellow lane markers. Lane number 4, Mackenzie Paddington, also swimming unattached. And in lane number 5, young Emma O'Cronin, just 15 years old, went underneath that FINA A standard last summer. She was a bronze medalist at the Junior Pan Pacific Championships. And all 3 of these swimmers swim a very similar race. So if they are on top of their game, we should expect to see them battling it out for the entire 1,500 meters side by side.
For sure, and I think there's so many talking points to this. I think first would probably be Mackenzie Paddington, our most experienced in this field. And in saying that, she's still relatively new to the international scene. She's had the opportunity to race at World Championships just once before, but she represented Canada back in 2017. I believe she's had a couple injuries throughout the season, so it's been great to see her in great form the last little while, and I'm looking forward to seeing her continue to do so. Now, NCAA championships were 2 months ago, and Mackenzie represents the University of Minnesota. She was seeded in the 1650, which is the closest equivalent to this 1500, the mile they call it. She was seeded 22nd and came 3rd. Now we're talking a competition that has some of the world's best swimmers, although it does take place in the U.S. There's people from all over the world that race some of the best of the best. And so for her to come 3rd at a competition like that really sets her in great contention coming into this meet here, and it shows her that she isn't just, again, based on what I've seen some of her comments be, she's in better shape than she thought she was. She's in a better place than she wanted to be, and she's really looking forward to taking a lot of that momentum from 2 weeks ago and representing it here in the pool.
And here you see her. She's out in front in lane number 4. Also looking strong is lane number 7. That is Merritt Anderson from the University of Calgary, turning right with her. They're only 9/100ths apart through the first 200 meters in 2:06.2, 2:06.3. 3rd is lane number 5. Emma O'Cronin. O'Cronin known for her very strong finishes. She's trying to stay very close to the race leaders as they get through this race.
Yeah, so Emma in lane 5, she was your bronze medalist at the 2018 Pan Pacific Championships in this event at a time right around that FINA A cut. So we're talking now getting our swimmers, especially our distance girls, to that world-class standard, and this is a great, great starting point for them. We're seeing a lot of youth come up and step up, and one of them I'm going to speak about, try to be unbiased, but Katrina Bellio out of lane 6. She is a girl that has come up through the club team that I swim for, but it has been such a pleasure to watch her because she has just completely taken herself from, you know what, it's one of Canada's great age group swimmers to a potential on coming forward onto one of the world stages. So her time there, watch for her potential best time. Again, great finishes out of her. She's in lane 6. But you mentioned we have a powerful start there over in lane 7. She's going to flip right after Mackenzie. That's Merritt Anderson, 3:12, 43 in second. But your leader, Mackenzie Paddington, 3:11, 52.
And there's a Cronin sitting in third. Bellio, who we're talking about, she's just 14 years old from Etobicoke. She set the Canadian record in a number of events for 14 and under swimmers very recently. She's right in the mix with all of these girls here through the first 300 meters of our women's 1,500 meter freestyle.
Absolutely, and because she's young, same with O'Cronin, but keep an eye on them in that second half of the race because they tend to have a little bit left in the tank when we're coming down to the finish, and I think it's awesome to see them challenge some of our more veteran swimmers in the closing couple laps, but don't ever count them out. I think it's awesome to watch them racing, and those two girls will probably be going at it for years to come. You talk about 14 and 15 years old, we're seeing world-class times out of Canadian swimmers. It's so exciting to represent distance swimming, and I love seeing the future of where it's headed in the next couple of years.
And potentially we could see a scenario very similar to the one that you swam through 8 years ago when you went from the Junior Pan Pacs to the Senior World Championships. Look at a Cronin now moving into second. She was also a bronze medalist at the Junior Pan Pacs last summer, and right now she is in position for that Senior World team. She's just got to be underneath that standard, which she's already done, but she's just a body length behind Paddington through the first 400 meters. Merritt Anderson in lane number 7, dropping back to third as O'Cronin goes just slightly ahead of her in lane number 5.
And right now they're flipping, and we see the numbers. If anyone sometimes asks, like, swimming, what are those numbers up there? Those are just counting the laps for them. So that's what they have left. 21 laps to go there in this women's 1,500.
And on a race as long as it is, it's sometimes a good reference point to see where they all are, but having swum this race a lot yourself, you know you are pretty well trained and have a very good sense of where you are throughout this race. So if it comes up, we just stop talking.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the important part is we have some youth, but we also have some veterans, and everyone has a little bit of a different way to swim this, and it's really awesome to watch. It's exciting. You see Paddington in the middle there, really barely using her legs, so she's using a lot of upper body strength, saving those legs for that final push. But then you see someone like Katrina Bellio over in 6 that's keeping a consistent kick throughout. So it's very interesting to watch the different patterns, but we still got a lot of racing left to go, so
absolutely.
A lot can change.
And talk about saving your legs. The finish by Paddington last summer at the Canadian Trials in Edmonton in July was absolutely incredible. She was 59.8 on her last 100 of this mile. An incredibly fast finish for Paddington to go to that 16:25.
Absolutely, and 59, I'm sitting here in shock. I had no idea. That one is quite the performance. I couldn't even do that in a 400-meter freestyle, and that was, a quarter of the distance of this, and I was good at finishing. So these are some crazy statistics, but, you got to give it to Paddington. She's swimming her smart race. She's staying in her own lane. We're watching Merritt drop off a little bit out in lane 7 right now, but it's Paddington and O'Cronin and battling up there for third. Merritt, and then followed by Bellio.
And Bellio doing a great job by the 14-year-old in lane number 6. She is challenging to get up to Anderson swimming in lane number 7. A bit of a spread now developing here between Paddington in lane number 4 and O'Cronin in lane number 5, but still a lot of this race left to go.
And this is the first time we've had an event like this with qualifications up for grabs. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing the growth in the sport, but especially in a race of this caliber. We have names like Katie Ledecky swimming this on the world stage. this is going to be an exciting one to watch when it comes to Olympics and Worlds. And so for us to have some Canadian contention in that would be ideal. So I'm really looking forward to seeing who's going to step up and who's going to be our ones to watch.
Absolutely. Another distance event on the schedule for our swimmers at the Olympic Games. It'll make its Olympic debut next year in Tokyo. And Katie Ledecky, one of the names that in the sport, absolutely recognizable as the best distance swimmer, bar none. Ledecky out of the USA, world record holder in the 1,500-meter freestyle.
Yeah, not even distance swimmer, just swimmer in general. I think she has the most world records for sure that we've seen out of a female in the sport of swimming, and she's just grown it by so much and put so much respect on women's sport, and I couldn't be more thankful to have had the opportunity to race against her. I think what's so awesome too is in watching this race, I'm just reminiscing a little, and I think important to note, because you've been talking about my push from the Junior Pan Pacific team, Junior Worlds team, to something like Senior World Championships. And as I see these 14 and 15-year-olds, I didn't actually swim the 400 to 800 freestyles at a World Trials race like this until that year. So I was swimming things like the 200 free, the 100 backstroke, 200 backstroke, some IMs. So I think it's so important for our young girls, even our older girls, to remember, and guys as well, to remember that, you know what, you don't have to specialize in a certain event right away. You may find your talent later on. You might come in an event you would have never expected it in. So I think it's so important to give new events like this an opportunity, and I think there's huge strides that are still to be made for Team Canada. But these girls, you know what, yes, the 1,500 might be a new discovery for them, but they also may find themselves on the national team in another event.
Absolutely. Don't give up on it too early and swim a multitude of events across all sorts of strokes and distances as a youngster, because you never know what's going to pop up, and you never know eventually where your speciality is going to lie, especially at a very young age.
Yeah, and we've got some age group records to keep an eye on in here. So Katrina Bellio holds the Ontario record, but it's still Savannah King's 13-14 Canadian record. And Savannah King, talking about distance swimming legends, but she's definitely one of the names that we remember. She set that time at 16:32. So if Katrina's she's continuing on this pace, she might give it a run for her money. That's our swimmers in lane 6. Still keeping up with her, though. Merritt, that will be in lane 7. The camera right now, all eyes on Paddington, though. She continues to be our leader in almost, what is that, a gold cap? I think it believes to be a gold cap. She's in the middle of the pool, still very relaxed on her legs. So watch out for a very strong finish there for Paddington.
And it should note that Paddington went through the 800-meter mark at 8:40, which is 8 seconds better than she did last summer when she went 16:25. So she is on target to be down and better than she was last summer. We're going to keep our eye on the clock for Paddington. Second is still O'Cronin, and they're going by Merritt Anderson just now as Katrina Bellio from Etobicoke, the youngster, swimming in lane number 6.
And to note, so this is a timed final event. So there were swimmers that swam this morning, and there was no preliminaries and finals because it would be a little bit much for these swimmers to do 2 1500s in one day. But our fastest qualifier this morning, Madison Archer, 17:22.93. These girls are well under that pace, but important to note, she may make a top 8, maybe top 10. We'll see if she can out-touch a couple people in this heat.
Paddington now coming to the 1,000-meter mark.
And this is the part where you start to feel the burn, but also you start to feel the glory of knowing that you're there. You're almost there. You're past. You're at 2/3. She's got 500 meters to go. She's going to start really digging deep here, focusing on her strategy, focusing on the positive thoughts. And we have a great race shaping up here for 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
And you're right, in Paddington, again, she's still 8 seconds ahead of where she was last summer. O'Cronin, more than 2 seconds ahead of where she was last summer. So right now, both of these girls on target to be underneath that FINA A time. We could be seeing 2 more swimmers potentially qualify for our Senior World Championship team here in this women's 1,500-meter freestyle event.
And O'Cronin is a great example of someone that is going to take full advantage, not even advantage, but fully make the most of this opportunity of a new event coming to the world stage. And she's at 15 years old, potentially going to be on a Canadian World Championship team. How cool is that? And this is, again, she's been on the podium at an international level, but that was the junior team. To make it to the senior team would be a whole other world of an accomplishment. And if anything, even if she doesn't get the chance to stand atop the podium there, what great experience it will be, especially heading into an Olympic year, putting yourself in the mix for a spot on our Tokyo team. Very, very crucial this year.
Absolutely, and she's also got in front of her, even if she makes the senior team, the Junior World Championship. She's still age eligible for that. That's happening at the end of summer in Budapest, and potentially be swimming in 2 World Championships, much like you did 8 years ago in both China and in Lima. So we could be seeing the same opportunities here for O'Cronin. Paddington, she is still way out in front, not even using her legs yet, as she turns at the wall.
And you see that 7 marker, so 7 laps remain in this women's 1500. That final push when Paddington comes to this next wall, she's going to have 300 meters to go. And you see Paddington's stroke, it is almost like a catch-up. So she's completely finishing one stroke and coming back to the front in order to start her next stroke. We see that a lot of the times in distance swimmers. A lot of rhythm to Paddington, and I'm just excited to see when she brings on her legs. Look how relaxed the back half of her body looks, just completely in control here.
And we'll look for that finishing kick, a trademark of Paddington's. We saw it last summer when she got down to 16:25, still sitting 8 seconds ahead of that pace here right now. O'Cronin back in second place, swimming in lane number 5. And after that, moving into third. Lane number 3 now. Stephanie Horner has moved into third place.
I believe Kate Sanderson will be swimming at a lane 3. She is the person, she just completely had a heck of a second half of this race. She was out of the picture for a bit, and now she's back in it. Great swim. Her best time entered with is a 16:30.83, so she's trying to catch up some ground and hopefully get close to the podium there with these ladies.
Absolutely, you're right. I misread that. It is Sanderson swimming in lane number 3, having a great last 100 meters here. She is really pouring it on here, picking it up. She's still a bit of a ways back from O'Cronin, but she is swimming at all sorts of speed here in lane number 3.
And I'm glad you did bring up Steph Horner, though. Our swimming in lane 2 was our only Canadian Olympian to swim in both open water and pool swimming at the Olympic Games. So she's been a distance legend for over 2 decades, I would say. So she just celebrated her 30th birthday and is still loving the sport, and I love watching her just for that reason, because she's truly enjoying what she does and continuing to push the boundaries in women's swimming. So we'll be seeing her on the potentially in the international stage for open water, but this is a great practice meet for her.
Paddington, 150 meters to go, a little bit less than 150. O'Cronin turning in second. There goes Sanderson. She's going to be next in third. The bells are going to come out, indicating 100 meters left to go here in the women's 1,500 meter freestyle. There's your race leader in the gold cap in the middle of the pool, Mackenzie Paddington. And we're going to want to see Paddington down at very close to 15:25. There she is at 15:18. Still much faster than she was last summer. I'm not sure we're going to get a 59 point out of that last 100 the same way we did in Edmonton, but she is still way out in front. O'Cronin turning in second at 16:31.
Yeah, 15:31 will be a little shy of what she's going to need to go in order to qualify for that. So she's got to come home really fast. I'm not saying it's over, but it's going to take quite a bit for her to get under that time. We still have meets like Junior World Championships, potentially things like Pan Ams for her to look forward to.
And she's also got the 800 and 400 later on this week as well. But if nothing else, puts herself into great contention for that World Junior team.
Not only contention, but potential medals, potential podium, potential finals, lots ahead for Emma O'Cronin. But right now we're looking at Paddington in the gold cap, middle of the pool. Still haven't seen her legs. She's probably keeping some, she's got some racing left to go. But a great performance here for Paddington, putting herself on the World Championship team.
And here we go, Paddington, best time is 16:25 at the wall first, 16:23.66. Mackenzie Paddington underneath that Fina A cut and winning the women's 1,500 meter freestyle.
And Paddington with a big fist pump there. She's happy. She's got her spot on the World Championship team.
O'Cronin in lane number 5 finishing second. Kate Sanderson in lane number 3 coming in for third. Solid swims out of those girls, but only one underneath that Fina A cut. Paddington going the best time of 16:23.6.
And as mentioned, we're going to see lots more of these ladies all weekend. Or I keep saying weekend. It is only Wednesday, so as we head towards the weekend, we will see the 800 freestyle later in the program. A lot of the same people will be competitive. We might see a few new names in there, but some great swims. We're seeing out of this women's 1500, and we're wrapping it up. We have a couple girls coming into the wall, and as mentioned, our time from this morning, 17:22.93 from Madison Broad, put her at about 9th place here tonight. So never say never when it comes to the morning. We got some great swims that can potentially put themselves in contention to score for the finals.
Absolutely, any opportunity to swim in a time final event, opportunity for a best time, and for her, a top 10 performance here at the Canadian Swimming Trials in the women's 1500 meter freestyle.
And sorry if we do miss some records, but I do want to note lane 6 there, Katrina Bellio set a new Ontario record, 16:48.34, taking 4 seconds off her previous mark.
A great best time for the youngster, the youngest swimmer in that heat tonight, 16:48.34. Etobicoke's Katrina Bellio. We'll be watching her for many years to come. Only 3 seconds off a podium finish was the youngster, Bellio from Etobicoke.
And we're just getting set to watch our final race of the evening. Our men's 800 meter freestyle.
And it looks like we may have a couple podium presentations just before we get underway with the 800.
Champion under the FINA A standard in the 1500 freestyle. Mackenzie Paddington, are you happy with that 16:23.66 here tonight?
It's the best time. It's definitely working forward from where I was last year, and it's a new event. I haven't swam it that much, so I'm just really excited to push this further and work for it next year too.
So work on it this summer in preparation for hopefully to qualify for the first ever women's 1500 freestyle at the Olympics in Tokyo in 2020.
Yeah, that's the main goal. I mean, I always looked up to Brittany when I was swimming and watching her swim the 1500, so I just really want to be that first Canadian to qualify for the 1500.
Well, congratulations, Mackenzie. Brittany upstairs in the house tonight watching you race that 15 for a national championship and a personal best time here tonight. Congratulations.
Well, that was nice.
Canada's chicken farmers care about raising quality chicken you can trust.
And just a
From
little
coast
bit
to
of
coast, we follow a mandatory, independently audited animal care program. It was developed by Canadians, including animal welfare experts, veterinarians, researchers, and people just like you.
It's uniquely Canadian. It's ours. This is my farm. This is my farm.
This is my farm.
This is my farm. This is my farm.
On him. He is just over world record pace. Three-quarters of a second outside world record pace.
And awards presentations now in the women's 50-meter butterfly.
Presenting the awards, please welcome the provincial high performance coach from Swift Prince Edward Island.
And all of these swimmers will be competing in the 100-meter event later on, which is a world championship qualifying event. The 50 was not, but some great swims. Best times by all three of these swimmers to get on the podium. A fantastic swim by McNeil from London, 26.15.
Yeah, and that's a name you're going to be hearing for the next couple of years, especially when we're talking about Olympic contention. Great swim there, though. Your winner, 26:15, Maggie McNeil, London.
And McNeil, she picked up 4 medals at the Women's NCAA Championships as a freshman this year. She won the gold medal at the Junior Pan Packs in the 100-meter butterfly. And here she is, taking nearly a full second off of her best time to go 26:15 and take the gold in the women's 50-meter butterfly.
Yeah, and important to know, all 3 of these ladies have either just been at Haley Black competed for Auburn, so she's had some experience NCAA. We've seen Maggie McNeil is in her freshman year at Michigan, and Sadie actually swims for Akron. So all of them have understood what it takes to also be successful at a different stage than this. So it's awesome to see them coming to Canada, remembering where they're from, coming back home, and doing some really successful performances on home soil.
And certainly not always the easiest transition from short course yards, which they never really swim growing up here in Canada, then coming back and having to race long course meters. A very quick turnaround from that short format to this international long course format. Medal presentations for the boys. And some great swims out of these gentlemen as well. Some more best times. Underneath that FINA A cut for Will Pisani. He's the gold medalist, 23:57. Alexander Perot, Ottawa, picking up the bronze medal. Mehdi Ayoub from Camo, the silver medal, 24:24. And then swimming unattached. Winning the event at a time of 23:57, Will Pisani.
And this, I believe, is Will's first ever Canadian National Championship, so he's very excited, I'm sure, by that performance. And he'll look to potentially, be a threat as it comes down to events like the 100-meter butterfly in the next coming days.
So, up next, we're going to have the men's 800-meter freestyle, and just like the women in the 1,500-meter freestyle, this is a brand new Olympic event making its debut next year at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, the men's 800-meter freestyle.
Yeah, and talk about changing of the guards, but this is an event that in Canada was dominated by Ryan Cochran for so long, and now we're waiting for that next male performer to take over and show us what Canadian distance potential looks like. So I'm really looking forward to seeing who it is, and I can't wait to watch the sport continue to grow as it did when Ryan was, one of our most not only dominant and decorated, but we could really rely on a name like Ryan Cochran when it came down to it on the world stage, on the Olympic stage, no matter where it was. He was so consistently in the finals, on the podium, representing Canada, both in the pool and out of the pool. It's a tough act to follow, but I really am excited to see one of our youngsters step up and put some international performances up there for Canada in the distance stage.
Absolutely. Some big shoes to fill by one of Canada's most consistent performers on the international stage, Ryan Cochran. And we'll see if this next generation of swimmers, how close they can get to that. The standard that they've got to go under in the 800-meter freestyle is a pretty quick one at 7:54.3. Top seed in this event is 18-year-old Alexander Pratt in lane number 4, swimming for the UBC Thunderbirds. He was a rookie last summer, jumping from the junior team to the senior Pan Pac team after the Canadian trials in July.
Yeah, and that's what's so fun about a meet like this. We see so many times that this changing of the guard, I like to call it, but there's some names that you see every year, and then there's some new people that make every team and make things that much more exciting. Also to note, we have Peter Brothers here in lane 5. He is representing Calgary, but he grew up swimming for Island Swimming and training with Cochran himself. So if anyone's kind of got an idea of what it takes to be at the level Ryan Cochran was, it may be Peter Brothers. He's wearing yellow cap right now in lane 5.
And Brothers entered in a 8:10.64. Lane number 4, the top seed, Alexander Pratt from the UBC Thunderbirds, 8:03.12. That's the time he did last summer at the Pan Pacific Championships. And we'll see where they go through this one. Through the first 50 meters, it is Pratt out quickly at 26:93. He is the 11th fastest Canadian all-time in this event. And he's swimming out in front in lane number 4, Brothers in lane number 5. And look at out in lane number 9, Colin Gilbert from the Kamloops Classic up with the race leaders. He's coming in with an entry time of 8:22.77.
Yeah, and this race is shorter than you might think. Now, these guys in the opposite of the women who are used to swimming the 8 and are now having this double distance. For the men, they're used to swimming the 1500. So this is half of the distance, not quite exactly, but almost half, a little over half. And so they're having to do a pace that they're not necessarily familiar with. They've kind of got to push it a little bit faster than they would in the 15, but also a little bit slower than they would in the 4. So it's an unknown territory, and that makes it a little bit more exciting. But you're going to see a lot of different pacing because people aren't as familiar with it.
Absolutely, and some good memories in this pool for lane number 4, your top seed, Alexander Pratt. He broke a national age group record in the 8 and 1500 in the same race at this pool short course at the Ontario Junior International before he later went on to make the Junior Pan Pacific team before being bumped up to the senior team. And he is swimming in lane number 4. Beside him in lane number 5, Peter Brothers pacing right with him. Colin Gilbert holding on to a top 3 position right now, swimming in lane number 9.
So they've only done 4 laps, and yet they're already a quarter of the way through this race. I love the intensity there for Colin Gilbert, taking it out strong, pushing the pace of your middle lanes, but also there's other teams to be chosen off of this, right? So he's putting himself in the mix for teams like Pan Am's and World University Games, and it's great to see someone go out there and go for it. It's one of my favorite things to watch in distance. And I truly hope he's able to hold on because that will be quite the story to tell.
A gutsy first outing here by Gilbert in lane number 9. And keep your eye on lane number 3. That's young Michael McGilvery from the Regina Optimus Dolphins. He's just 16 years old. He was a member of Canada's Junior Pan Pacific team last summer. Also competed at the Open Water Junior World Championships. And he's vying for a spot this summer as well in lane number 3. McGilvery. Brothers now taking the lead in lane number 5. Gilbert right up there with them, as is Alexander Pratt in lane number 4. As they come to the 300-meter mark, still very close between these top swimmers. Brothers going through in a time of 2:58.60.
And one of the most important questions you get asked as a swimmer, like, are you looking? Who can you see? Who can you not? And what is awesome about having what we call the outside smoke is Peter Brothers probably isn't paying much attention out to your swimmer in lane 9. So it's giving him so much opportunity, that is Colin Gilbert, to just take off and go without them watching, without them knowing. He can stick to his race strategy and his own only, and it makes it that much more fun to watch because Peter's not necessarily seeing him out there.
Absolutely. I mean, on the back end of these 50s, he is breathing to the right, but that's still 5 lanes over. So Gilbert could be trying to run away this one. Roll a gutter ball out of lane number 9. He's out there with Brothers in lane number 5, followed by Pratt in 4. And then Michael McGilvery in lane number 3. They're coming now to the 400-meter mark. And we want to see if these guys will be under the 4 minutes as they finish the front half of this race. And they are just at it, 4:00. Peter Brothers in 5. Gilbert, 0.4 of a second back in lane number 9. Alexander Pratt right there with them, as is Michael McGilvery and Raven Doman.
Yeah, this has become quite exciting. Now we're only halfway through, so it would require what we call a negative split, so coming back a little bit faster than their first 400 if they wanted to get under that FINA A. But this is putting our swimmers in contention to potentially have a great 1500 and maybe even a great 400, and if not, putting them in the mix for qualification when it comes to some of these other meets coming up. So it's definitely a battle, and we're continuing to see race after race be close, and I love watching the close ones, and right now we're seeing just that.
Absolutely, and Gilbert out there in lane number 9, Brothers in lane 5 out in front. The negative split strategy, something that you typically see with some of our younger swimmers. Some of the more mature and experienced ones can do it as well, but these swimmers are going to have to be well back in a negative split to get underneath that standard, but there's still other teams to make. Brothers 5:01.11. He's a second ahead of Gilbert. He's started to move now on that 5th 100, taking some momentum here into the back half of the race. Alexander Pratt 0.3 of a second back. Doman now moving into 4th, and McGilvery battling up there as well in lane number 3.
Yeah, we still have 5 men in the mix here for not only podiums, but technically still our winner, and there's a lot of different paces to be swum for a race that's a distance race. So I'm excited to see who's got some in the tank to close this race. Peter Brothers right now still flipping ahead. Still in second, Colin Gilbert out in lane 9, putting on an unbelievable performance here in the outside.
A gutsy performance out of Gilbert in lane number 9. And Peter Brothers also having a very good swim. He's not been down to that time of 8:10 that he's entered in a while. So this is a very solid swim by Brothers in lane number 5. He still has the lead. He's about a half body length ahead of Gilbert in lane number 9. Alexander Pratt trying to move up in lane number 4, your top seed. He's about 0.2 of a second back from Gilbert. That is 600 meters gone in 6:02.0 for Peter Brothers in lane number 5 from the University of Calgary.
Yeah, Brothers looking very smooth still, bringing in a lot in terms of his legs, but his arms very relaxed, keeping long, strong strokes. Moving up right now, you're watching, there's just all of these changes within this race. I love watching it. Michael McGilvery, though, we talked about, he was one of our athletes that was on the Junior Pan Am stage. He was 9th at those events. A very young swimmer still with a lot of experience still to come. Can he put himself on a senior team with this great closing last 200?
Look at the legs out of McGilvery in lane number 3. He has really picked it up in his charging. He's gone by Pratt. He's gone by Doman. He's chasing down Gilbert in lane number 9. A great back end to this swim for Michael McGilvery. There go the bells. 100 meters left to go. Brothers turns first, and now McGilvery in lane number 3 has moved into second at 7:05.1, 1/100th of a second ahead of Colin Gilbert in lane number 9.
And the legs on McGilvery right now, it is unbelievable. He began this surge. I almost feel like too late, but watch him surge for Peter Brothers. Peter's breathing to that side, knowing that someone may be up and coming here. 1 lap to go of this men's 800.
He is making a bold charge here in the end. He's still ahead of Colin Gilbert. No, Gilbert now taking it back by 1/10 of a second. Colin Gilbert answering back to the charge by McGilvery. Everybody trying to get up to lane number 5. Peter Brothers. Brittany, this has turned out to be one of the more exciting men's races here tonight. The men's 800-meter freestyle. Everybody trying to get up to Peter Brothers in lane number 5.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with this performance out of the outside lane right now.
And there it is, Brothers 8:02.40. Gilbert up at the very front from the gun, 8:03.65 in for silver. Michael McGilvery, the youngster, the 16-year-old, 8:05.57, taking off nearly 8 full seconds to grab that bronze medal in that final podium position.
There you go, and a swim like that for McGilvery definitely takes him from the junior team to a more senior caliber swimmer, and it might not necessarily get him on a racing opportunity at Worlds, but it's for sure going to put him on the map when it comes to a contention for next year's Olympic team. And that's, like you said, almost 10 seconds faster than he was at Junior Pan Pacs less than a year ago. So great growth out of him. It's only April. We've got lots more racing still to go in the season. Colin Gilbert, though, for me, was the race of the night. Out of lane 9, there's some great Denver fans in the stands. Looks like he's made some great strides there. 8:03.65, taking off from his seed time, which who's to tell how old that was, but still almost 20 seconds from that time he was entered with. An awesome swim. And our national champion, don't want to forget, of course, Peter Brothers. Oh,
that was Victor Johansson this morning. He is a foreign swimmer, so he doesn't count towards the podium positions, but he swam 7:59.
Tonight, Peter Brothers, University of Calgary, 8:02.40 final time. Happy with that time here this evening?
Yeah, I mean, the time is the time, but I prepared well, and I'm proud of how I prepared, so just trusting the process and see where we can go from here.
Good close race through the first 500. Could you see Colin Gilbert out in lane 9 keeping pace with you guys?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, being aware in that race is definitely a hard thing to do, but it helps, so it helps you push yourself.
Yeah, we heard from Mackenzie that she's excited that this is now an Olympic event, as the 800 is for men. Are you equally as excited for that possibly next year in Tokyo?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the 800 is like a nice middle ground for me. Not too long, not too short, but yeah, I like it.
Congratulations on your national championship, Peter Brothers, here tonight in the men's 800 free.
And there we go, Peter Brothers, national champion in the 800-meter freestyle. Lifetime best time for him, down at 8:02. A very solid 4-minute, 4:02 swim out of Brothers. And we also saw the youngster Michael McGilvery get himself on the podium with nearly a 10-second drop down to 8:05. Solid swimming out of Colin Gilbert. Kamloops Classic swimmer. Went for it out of lane at number 9. Almost won, but managed to get himself a silver medal. And a few more medals to present. And these will be for our women's 1,500 meter freestyle event.
And these are our top 3 finishers. Technically, we could have had a couple girls from the morning. We didn't, though, so these were the 3 girls that we just saw finish that women's 1,500, leading with Mackenzie Paddington, making her mark there in that event. And it was awesome to hear her talk about, distance swimming and the female side and watching the growth. And I'm really looking forward to continuing to see her career progress and eventually getting to watch her, hopefully, at the Olympic Games.
And the bronze medal will go to Kate Sanderson. She had a fantastic finish over the last 150 meters. Really closed on everyone. Managed to move up into a podium position.
She's got some fans in the stands, which I appreciate. Great swim there for Kate. Bronze medal there at a Canadian National Championships. Can't not be proud of that.
Silver going to Emma Cronin, the youngster, the 15-year-old. I expect that we'll see plenty of her in this event over the next few years. Just 15 years old. A little bit off of her best time, but still manages to get onto the podium in the 16:40. And our gold medalist going a best time of 16:23.66, underneath that FINA A standard, likely putting herself onto that World Championship team competing later this summer in Korea. Mackenzie Paddington.
And when we see Mackenzie on, we see her on, and we watched her a couple years ago take full strides at the 2017 trials. She came out of nowhere to win a good chunk of the freestyle races. So keep an eye on her as the meet progresses. She's had a great night 1, and she'll continue to hopefully, as she mentioned, that was a best time, a personal best time in an event she's a little bit unfamiliar with right now, but that's more experience under her belt, another best time, and she still has the 8 and the 4 and potentially even the 2. So looking forward to seeing her race more.
Absolutely. She is a podium threat in the 200, the 400, the 800. We see her on the podium in the 1,500. So we could be seeing plenty more of Paddington. And not only is she an individual threat, but getting herself potentially onto the relay in the women's 4x200 Canada, the Canadian women having one of the strongest 4x200 freestyle relay teams in the world, potential medal threats both for the World Championships and potentially next year in Tokyo.
Yeah, my favorite part about the Rio Olympics was watching our Canadian women make the podium on multiple relays. And, relays are really a testament to your depth as a country. And so seeing us be able to put up 4 women and contend for a spot on the podium, and in 2 instances get some hardware, bring it back to Canada, and show that we are a country to threaten, and we are coming. And it was amazing to see the flag being raised and that opportunity to watch some freestylers continue to progress, and we've seen our sprinters do it time and time again, and now we're seeing the girls in the 200 as well.
And here we go, the boys' medals in the 800-meter freestyle. The youngster over on the right, Michael McGilvery, 16 years old, from the Regina Optimus Dolphins. Part of our junior national development team, grabs a bronze. Silver on the left, Colin Gilbert from Kamloops. And there's your new national champion, Peter Brothers from the University of Calgary swim team.
These boys are still out of breath. Their race just finished. Most of the people have a little bit of time to put some warm clothing on and take a breather, but they're just finishing up, still huffing and puffing. Again, a tough battle there in the men's 800. Great way to finish our night. And what an exciting night it was. Night 1 is now officially over. What are we thinking?
We were thinking this was one of the most exciting trials events that I have been to in a number of years. We saw it from our top-end swimmers who were putting up and scaring Canadian records and world records. We saw a Canadian record from Marcus Thormeyer, and we saw a lot of junior-age swimmers step up and get themselves on the podium here at the Senior Trials event.
And that's what I love, the growth of the sport. And we not only did we see some new names, but we also saw some of our veterans continue to perform. Names like Kylie Moss, Marcus Thormeyer. I'm really excited as this is only night 1. We still have 4 more nights of competition. but we saw some of the top times in the world at the moment in multiple different events. So that's putting us in great contention as we head into World Championships this summer.
Absolutely, and it is, as you said, so healthy for the sport. It needs to be competitive. We need to have more than just one swimmer winning the event by a body length. We need 2 or 3 up and battling against each other every time they come towards the national championships and fighting for spots on our Canadian senior team. And we saw that tonight. We saw top 3 times in the world in the 200-meter breaststroke. That one has gone to a jury of appeal. We'll see what happens with Kiara